And I think this is what occurred with Dave. In order to stay in contact with life, because he loves life, he could engage in these emotional states, these intellectual conceptualizations of feelings, but not the feeling themselves. And I think it was because his connection to his feelings was so intense. At some point, he had a trauma that he shut himself off from those feelings. Now, we can have good feelings and bad feelings. And what really gives the value to a good feeling is a bad feeling. And I was explaining to Phil, if we're feeling icky, we can go and start doing another type of behavior that makes us feel better. They balance each other out. They give purpose and meaning to each other, the good and the bad. So if we cut off the bad, all we got is good feelings, we really don't know what a good feeling is in a holistic sense. The good is always in relationship to the bad. Because in the metaphysical root of the source, all things are one. It's a unity. But since all things are one, there's no identity. It's all unified. It's a collective whole. And so there's no single individual identity. There's only a collectivity. So the source splits itself off so that it can relate to its multiple and various aspects of itself. And in our conversations, Dave and my conversations, we've been developing this perspective over the last decade. So this is this is already understood, but I have to keep reminding him because he's had multiple and various separate metaphysical conceptions, and this can be very confusing if we don't have contact with our feelings, which are the closest connection to the source, that metaphysical root of our being. In fact, when I quit smoking, I realized, this was years ago, I realized that I wanted to light a cigarette with every single emotion that I had. 3 or 4 days had passed, and I realized I haven't smoked. And then I started popping Lifesavers because I started getting a craving because I thought about it. And then I realized I wanted one of these Lifesavers or a cigarette and popped a Lifesaver instead. I wanted a cigarette every time I had a feeling, and it didn't matter what the feeling was. It could have been a good feeling, bad feeling, whatever it was. It didn't matter. So, once again, my experience is developing this conception. And I recognize my experience is limited to my own identity, my own little space and time. So, I take that for granted. But we really made headway. We really did make headway in the idea that this disconnect from the feelings can cause a separation from the knowledge, the intellectual conceptualization of the intention of another person's behavior. If we are not connected to our feelings, we do not know where our behavior stems from, where our values come from. This can leave us completely confused in the world, unable to have our own. Now, this is key. We've got to be able to have our own stance and posture, but many people, that's far too frightening to get, because when they get close to their feelings, they're also close to the source. And getting too close to the source takes them farther away from the roles they play in life. And that disconnect from the roles we play in life can threaten our ability to meet our needs. Because it reminds me of that old saying, you can go to the closet and pray for a sandwich, or you can go to the kitchen and make yourself one. So, there's another saying, shit in one hand and wish in the other. Which do you think's going to fill up first? Anyway, there's another saying. With one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're pissing all over today. Anyway, I just had to say that. I don't know why, but these are all in my mind together. Trying to give form, three-dimensional form, to something that's rather metaphysical. So I ended up talking to him about active imagination, because he ended up bringing up the idea that he has these conversations with entities, and he sees these entities, these spiritual entities. He's a very spiritual, metaphysical guy. And I brought up this book, Active Imagination, by what's her name? Barbara Hanna. And it references in there The Secret of the Golden Flower, which has a commentary by Carl Jung. This is very, very early in Carl Jung's work, and it gives a good basic beginning point for Carl Jung and all his ideas. And I was talking to him about this active imagination, because that is what is occurring when he's seeing these figures, these entities.